Hi guys, so today I am here and making another video. I know I made one yesterday, but this one has been on my mind to make for a couple of days now, so I thought I would make it right now. And today it is basically just me giving all of the students that could possibly be working during holidays or even just the 6 weeks break just some simple tips that might help you out and make it easier to actually do the work during the 6 weeks holiday. It might give you a bit more motivation to actually do it. Feel free to press the like and subscribe button down below and go and check out some of my other videos. I'll put my other most recent one in the comments down below. It is a graduation one. It is mostly aimed at those who should have graduated this year. So yeah, go and check that one out as well, and go and check out my other videos and check out my channel. Yes guys, I'm going to say this now, I may be itching my eyes a lot today because I have not yet taken my hay fever tablet, which needs to be taken, but I will take that afterwards. So yeah, let's get straight onto the video. So I guess my first tip is not cramming the work in. One of the biggest mistakes I made at the beginning of this lockdown was trying to cram all my work in and get it all done so that I could just relax and calm down. That was one of the biggest mistakes I made because I realised that as much as I want to get all that work done, cramming it all in is not going to make it go any faster, and it's just going to keep coming in, and I'm just going to end up with a much bigger workload than I already had. So that is my first tip. Do not cram all of the work in, because all you are going to do is put more stress on yourself and make it harder to actually do it. My second tip is to split the workload. So if you have like absolutely loads of work to do or loads of revision to do, then my advice to you is to split that over the 7 days. Do not do it all at once. So I don't know, you do a couple of hours a day, or you do different sessions a day. That helps because then you have the breaks in between, and I don't know, it helps for some people, it doesn't always help for others. That leads me on to my third tip. My third tip is mostly aimed at the year 11s going into year 12 or even year 13s for this year. And that's separating the subjects. So I quickly realised, especially with my younger foster sister who had like a load of work coming in for different sections, that if it was split over the different days and you had like one subject a day or one set of work a day, it helped because then you can just focus on that. So one way I quickly managed to do it was to establish a routine and establish what subject I wanted to do each day. I'm taking 3 subjects for A-level in September, and I very quickly realised that with the amount of work I've got to get done, it was easier to split it. Sorry, I had a teddy fall off the bed. Over different days. That may work for some people, it may not always work. But obviously having that routine there and having that continuity does always help, because then for those who like the routine and those who prefer being in school, it might get you back into that routine ready for when the new school year starts. My next tip kind of follows on from my first one, which is taking frequent breaks. Again, one thing I quickly learned is if you don't take frequent enough breaks, you do end up having brain overload. So one thing I quickly realised was to take frequent breaks in order to actually get all of the work done. So what I would advise is setting out a routine, or setting out even just a simple timetable and saying, I know I'm going to have a 15-minute break every half hour. That also helps because, sorry, my eyes are really itchy because I need to take my home. That really helps because then you have that break and you can do something you enjoy, whether that's playing video games, doing colouring, making YouTube videos, watching TikTok. You can do something you like in that break and you can just take a breather. That leads me on to my next one, which is make time for yourself. If there's one thing I quickly learn whenever I have a load of work to do, is people have a tendency to try and get it all done and they always forget to make time for themselves. So there's one thing I'm going to recommend, considering a lot of students, or most students, will now be working through the summer holidays doing work, mostly year 11s going into year 12 doing sixth form transition work, is make time for yourself. This is your 6 weeks holiday as much as it is the school want you to do work. So make sure that even though you're trying to get all that work done, make sure you have a 6 weeks break and make time for yourself, because that is really important and will help make it easier to do the work when you know you're taking care of yourself. My next one is don't work for long periods of time. So as much as you will want to work for hours and hours and hours on end, do not do it. Because all you are going to do is you're going to be working for hours and hours on end, and before you know it, your brain is going to stop taking in that information. This is also really helpful for those who go into exams. Do not revise for long periods of time either, because again, that just causes problems, because eventually your brain will just turn around and basically say, no, I don't want to take in any more information, and it'll be pointless, because you will literally just be sat there reading or writing down stuff, and none of it will be going in, which is kind of defeats the whole object of revision or doing the work in the first place. So if you want to work for, I don't know, an hour or two, make sure you take breaks in between. Do not work for a solid, 8 hours, because that will just, first of all, it will drain you, and second of all, it's not healthy for the brain. And it's not healthy for production, and it's not healthy for actually taking in the information you want to. My next one, which schools don't do as much, but since you will probably be working during some form of holiday, is work in a way that suits you. So in schools, we obviously have the very generalised routine of the teacher standing at the front talking at us. If that works for you, then get a parent or sibling or a friend to help you do that. But if that doesn't work for you, then find a way that works for me. For me, I tend to work best sitting at my desk or sitting on my bed, listening to music and doing it, or I work best at night. As random as that seems to a lot of people that end up talking to me about work, that is when I work best. I do not work best in the morning, so if you guys don't work best in the morning, don't do work in the morning. Do it in the afternoon, do it in the evenings, but work in a way that suits you, because if you work in a way that suits you, you are more likely to actually take that information in that you are trying to learn, and it'll be a lot more productive in the long run. Another thing that might help the year 10s and year 9s that are going up and are struggling with their GCSE courses because of the current situation is try and work on the stuff you've been taught or you know. So one thing I am struggling with at the moment with my physics work is I don't know some of the content because I didn't take triple science. But if there's one thing I have been told, over the past few months, is work on the stuff that you know or you've been taught, because then the stuff that you don't know, you can go back in September and your teachers will pick up on it and they can teach you it. That doesn't mean don't do any of the work that you don't understand. Try and do it and attempt it, but obviously if you've got more stuff that you know and you know you've been taught, then go and do that and then come back to the work you don't understand. Because if you go back in September with a load of work you don't understand, the teachers can actually help you with that, and that gives them something to do. Because the teachers know it's not been easy on us, everyone knows it's not been easy on us, so they will make time in their day to help out the students with the stuff that they are struggling on. And that leads me on to my next point, which is make a list of questions for your teacher for the next year. Obviously, if you were working during the summer, or you were year 10 going into year 11 and you're trying to get some of your GCSE content done, or you're year 11 doing sixth form transition work and you don't understand anything, make a list of questions for your teachers. Obviously, most schools are closed now, so emails to teachers will not work. So if you have any questions about the work you're doing, or you're stuck on something, put a dot next to the question you're stuck on, or write it down on a separate piece of paper, or make a list of questions for your teachers and go in next year with that list of questions. Because even though it may seem sometimes like teachers don't want you asking questions, if there's one thing I learned in my GCSE years is ask questions. Because if you don't ask questions, the teachers will just assume that you know it. So if you do not ask those questions and the teachers just assume that you know it, they will not be able to give you the help you need, which means in the long run, when you actually need to know that stuff, when you don't know it, it will cause a lot of problems. So if you have a question, do not be afraid to ask it. If that means you have to ask the teacher at the end of the lesson or outside of lesson time, they will not mind, especially if you are in year 10 or 11 or year 12 or 13. They do not mind, because they want you to go and ask them questions, because they do not know what you are struggling on. They will just be trying to teach the GCSE content or teach the A-level content and get it over and done with. So as much as you may think, oh, it's a stupid question, there is no such thing as a stupid question. Go and ask your teacher, go and ask, head of subject, head of faculty, or even if you don't want to do it in person, email them or ask a friend to stay with you, because if you ask those questions and there's a difference between someone who hasn't asked those questions and someone who has asked those questions, you are going to be the one in the long run who it is going to benefit. So go and ask those questions, make a list of questions over the summer break, and go in September with those questions ready to ask your teachers. My next one, which is probably my biggest one overall, which is my last one as well, is do not stress about it too much. Because even though at the moment it may seem like everything's going wrong and all your GCSEs and A-levels have been messed up and everything, they haven't. Because you've still got another year, and those going into A-levels, you've got another 2 years. So right now, the work they're trying to set you is just trying to build those gaps between what you were taught back in March and the stuff they have tried to teach you over online lessons and everything like that, and next year's content. All they are trying to do, especially for the GCSE students, is bridge that gap. So do the work. I'm not saying don't do the work and remember to do that work. But do not make it your top priority. You have 6 weeks ahead of you to get that work done. Most schools do not return until the 7th or 8th of September. Maybe later, maybe earlier, depending on what area you're from and what school you go to. But that is roughly the go back time for most schools. So my advice to you is do not stress about it. Do not go to bed at night thinking, oh, I haven't done this bit of work, I don't know this, I don't know that, because that is not going to be healthy for you. And as much as you need to get that work done, you also need to consider your mental health. So do not stress about it, because that's not going to do anyone any good, and it's not going to help you actually pass the exam. And if you're stressed about it, you're not going to want to work. So if there's one thing and it's going to be my biggest message out of all of this, is do not stress about it. Do not make it your top priority, and just relax, enjoy your 6-week break, get that work done, or as much as you can, and yeah, you'll be fine. Again, I will probably put this in under a playlist with my graduation one, because it is all related to school. But if you guys want any more tips for school, or any more tips for anything, or year 10s you want revision videos, I will do those. Just put them in the comments down below. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and go and check out my other videos. But for today, goodbye.